Staying with the Chili Bowl, I did want to talk about some things happening around the pits this week, especially when it comes to the tech process. A big story last year was the crackdown on technology when it came to communication with the drivers, with officials swapping out receivers and checking for things like smartwatches in advance of main events. This year, the focus has very much though shifted to the race cars. We saw similar at the Tulsa shootout, and things have been much tighter this week when compared to previous years. Back in May of 2024, Cody Cordell was named tech director for these events, and he's brought some of his ASCS guys in to support the officiating process. If you aren't aware, Cordell was previously the crew chief for Noah Gas sprint car team before becoming then the tech director for the ASCS under WRG ownership. New rules were also put in place in advance of these races, and Cordell, Matt Ward, not playing around. I talked to a bunch of people in the building yesterday to get a sense for how it was all happening, and it's clear that tech and safety are being taken seriously. I had one driver tell me it felt similar to a World of Outlaws or High Limit race, with pre-event tech including chassis tubing thickness checks, plus looking over safety equipment like belts and head clearance in the cars. All cars were given certification stickers after that process, just like you would see with an Outlaw show or High Limit show. I have not heard if any were not allowed to race, though. It would be silly if that happened, though, as teams had ample time and warning to make sure their cars were compliant. And at the Tulsa shootout, we did see teams disqualified over failed tire tests, and that is being heavily scrutinized again this week. The Saturday feature was shortened to 40 laps from 55 because of the surface taking rubber in recent years, and event organizers believe that tire doping played a part in those rubber down tracks. Tire samples were taken yesterday, and we'll see if anything comes out of that. A few different people told me they were actually happy to see the extra tire testing, and I know there were some quotes floating around from Emmett Hahn about it and some of the top drivers and teams. And this deeper dive on the tech process last night continued after the feature, with cars getting looked over yet again, and I was told by another friend that traction control was in the crosshairs. Body panels were removed from cars and ignition wires traced all around the chassis. Matt Weaver posted this photo to Twitter last night of the process. Don't tell him I stole this photo, though. I tried to text him to ask permission to use it, but he wasn't out of bed yet. Anyway, we've talked about some of the tricks out there with traction control. And while teams have gotten smarter, so have officials. So they are starting to look in these little places to see where wires are, maybe wires shouldn't be, things like that. Fuel also always a focus at Chili Bowl. Those checks were happening all throughout the day as well. We obviously won't know right away if anyone gets busted for the tire testing because those samples have to be sent off and tested by the lab, but it could be a storyline that plays out in the future.